Happening now on Grid Tonight. World Rally Championship drivers have formed the World Rally Drivers Association to stand together as one against the FIA. Will their concerns be heard or fall on deaf ears? 2311 Racing signed Corey Heim to a development driver contract. Will this help speed up Heim's timeline of becoming a full-time Cup driver? Defending MotoGP world champion Jorge Martin fractured his left hand and will miss the season opener this weekend in Thailand. Should Martin focus on getting back to 100% before returning to racing? Hello to all of our viewers watching here in the United States and around the world. Welcome to Grid Tonight, your weekly motorsports news program. I'm Kobe Lambeth. With me are Joshua Birch from JB Motorsports and Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Index. We encourage everyone to interact with us in the chat, support us through Super Chat, and visit gridnetworktv.com for our latest content. Now, here's Josh with our top story this evening. We have a lot to talk about.
We do indeed. It's my favorite topic. The FIA. Here we go. Are you sitting comfortably? Then we shall begin. The FIA's new guidelines cracking down on drivers using swear words has already rubbed people in the Formula One paddock the wrong way. Now, the World Rally Championship drivers are showing their frustration. Despite rivalries on the track, the WRC drivers and co-drivers have come together in a way we've never seen before in rally racing. They formed the World Rally Drivers Association, a group similar to the Grand Prix Drivers Association. Later in this segment, we'll read the letter written by the World Rally Drivers Association and shared on each driver's social media pages. The formation of this group occurred after Hyundai driver Adrien Fourmaux was fined for dropping an F-bomb during the televised broadcast at Rally Sweden. The photo courtesy there of Hyundai Motorsport. Now, while most would agree that consistent use of profanity has no place in a professional or family-like atmosphere, many seem to think that the FIA, under the leadership of President Mohammed Ben Sulayem, is taking things way too far in this whole situation. Last month, the FIA issued new guidelines regarding penalties for using swear words that could see drivers fined, receive race bans, or lose championship points. However, according to Sky Sports, the FIA have updated the penalties for swearing as well. Now, a first-time offender will receive a fine. A second offence would include a larger fine, plus a 1-month suspension, and a third offence would result in a massive fine, 1-month suspension, and a loss of championship points. The link to this article is in the video description and graphic courtesy of WoRDA. Now, is the formation of the World Rally Drivers Association a good thing for WEC drivers? And what's your take on the FIA's updated guidelines for swearing? Kobe, we'll start with you.
Well, Josh, when I was preparing for this topic, I had to do a lot of reading on this new World Rally Drivers Association, and from what I was getting is that this has actually been around for quite a while now, but in an unofficial capacity. But Mohammed bin Sulayem and his so-called leadership has basically forced these drivers to make it an official thing. So now we have World Rally Drivers Association, also known as WoRDA, and in order for the rally drivers to stand together, united on a cause that they feel very passionate about, I think it's important, for them to have a formalized group like this, because if you have this person, if you don't have a group like this, you have this driver saying this driver saying that, and the message won't be unified. I think that this is a great thing for them, because if they have concerns, they can voice it. Like I said in the open, it may fall on deaf ears, but at least you have a group here, and you see right here on the screen all the drivers and co-drivers who have signed on to this group, because they're really frustrated with the way things are going with the FIA, which sounds very familiar, because we've been talking about this in the sense of Formula One for many months now. And like Josh said, it's been his favorite topic, and I can just hear the passion in his voice when he was reading the script to show you how passionate he is about this. Just wait till we get to the end of this segment, folks. You need to grab your popcorn, your favorite drink, because Joshua Birch is going to have a lot to say on that. But getting back to World Rally Championship drivers, I think this can be a good thing for them, but I don't know if it will be successful at all. And in regards to the updated guidelines for swearing, I'm going to say what Max Verstappen said in the preseason. He said the FIA basically, lost sight of what's most important here. Like, we're focusing on this when we should be focusing on more important issues. And like you were saying, obviously that most people would agree that when it comes to swearing, we shouldn't be a Marshawn Lynch. If you guys know who Marshawn Lynch is, former NFL player. He's someone, whenever you see him in an interview, he uses swear words a lot. And if he met Mohammed bin Sulayem, Marshawn Lynch would not have any money left. Just to let you know how much he swears in a sentence. Yeah, but I don't think we have that major problem across motorsports, especially in the FIA sanctioned championships, because I watch a lot of these championships, as many of you do as well, watching at home. And when these drivers are doing interviews, you don't really see the problem with them, using swear words. So I think we're making a non-existent issue into a far bigger issue than it needs to be here. And Adam Limerick in the comments says that the FIA is nuts and Mohammed bin Sulayem is beyond crazy. How can I get Josh to become the FIA president? He's perfect. And also, hello to Omi. Glad to have you watching tonight. What do you think, Matt?
Well, good evening, everyone. First of all, the Rally Drivers Association WoRDA sounds like something that you'd see on your desktop next to Excel, isn't it? WoRDA. Great for the sport, for rallying. As you said, Kobe, this has kind of been around, bubbling around in the background unofficially for a long time. Finally, it's taken this to trip itself out the door and make itself official. But for the sport of WRC, I think this is great. They can have more of a say about safety, stages, itinerary, all of the kind of things that a lot of the drivers and teams perhaps would have a little moan and dig about from now and again. So just in the WRC thing, I think it's really good going forward. Whether this is linked to the second or third part of this story, that we're going to talk about, I guess it is off the back of the Adrien Fourmaux thing, which we mentioned on the show last week in Hots and Knots, actually. Kind of thought this might be coming, and here we go. So for the WRC, I think it's excellent that they've got, much like the GPDA in Formula One, they've got the drivers' union now as such to go forward with suggestions, ideas, annoyances, grievances, all of that kind of thing as an official body, which is really good. On the swearing general thing, I agree with you, Kobe. We see, especially, let's take WRC because this is the bulk of this portion of the program. They come out the stage. They've just been doing 200 kilometers an hour on gravel, wet tarmac, on ice and snow like it was in Sweden. The adrenaline is up, the blood is pumping, and if you've made a mistake, you might, especially if you're in a second language, which everyone apart from Melvin Evans pretty much is in WRC, something might slip out, and that's kind of what happened with Fourmaux. You go to a new team as a foreign driver, you learn hello, goodbye, and swear words from the mechanics. That's the first thing you get taught in English if you come from a different speaking country. So, but as you say, on the TV interviews, really, like the pen interviews from Formula One, similar for MotoGP, although that's obviously FIM, we don't hear it much. It's all radio stuff, really. This is all obviously spiraled after the George and Max thing at the end of the season and such like, which we talked about at the time. So, yes, mountains from molehills being done on the Place de la Concorde in Paris.
The World Riders Association in Dorna stood up to this a long time ago, man, as you well know as well. They are very much have more control. I'm very much delighted to see that WoRDA are doing the same things. It's an interesting name. I must admit, it took me a while to get into it. Let's take a look at the letter they published out there as well. Obviously, it starts with a logo at the top and a statement, and it's regarding the driver's misconduct. Here we go. The rally drivers and co-drivers of WoRDA, inspired by their GPDA colleagues, joined together to express their opinion, seek clarity, and cooperative towards a brighter future. Now, first and foremost, we wish to state that, as is the case with every sport, competitors must abide by the referee's decision. The respect of this principle is not in question. We are not all full-time professionals, yet we all face the same extreme conditions with the same relentless passion, whether navigating through dense forests, across frozen roads in the dead of night, or through the dust of treacherous gravel tracks. We've pushed ourselves to the limit, against the elements, against the clock, and against our own limits. Beyond racing, our role has expanded. Today, rally drivers and co-drivers are not only athletes, but also entertainers, content creators, and constant media figures, from the smartphones of spectators to the official WRC cameras. We are expected to be available at all times before, during, and after competition, from dawn till dusk. WoRDA has always recognised our responsibilities and commitments to collaborate in a constructive way with all stakeholders, including the FIA president, in order to promote and elevate our outstanding sport for the benefit of all. In recent months, however, there have been an alarming increase in severity of the sanctions imposed for minor, isolated, and unintentional language lapses. Underlined. This has reached an unacceptable level. We strongly believe that 1. Common coagulism, I hope I've pronounced that right, otherwise I've stuffed it already, cannot be considered and judged as equal to genuine insults or an act of aggression. No mother tongue speakers may use or repeat terms without full awareness of their meaning or connotation. And seconds after an extreme adrenaline spike, it is unrealistic to expect perfect and systematic control of emotions. And then they put this bit in bold. Rally is extreme. Risk level for the athletes, intensity of the focus, length of the days, all the limits are reached. In such a case, we question the relevance and validity of imposing any such of penalty. Moreover, the exorbitant fines are vastly disproportionate to the average income and budget in rallying. Who wrote this? Did they get a thesaurus out? We are concerned with the public impression that these excessive sums create the minds of the fans that suggesting that this is an industry where money doesn't matter. This also raises a fundamental question, where does the money from these fines go? The GPT asks the same question. The lack of transparency only amplifies concerns and undermines conflict in the system. Surely, the negative impression surrounding these penalties far outweigh the impact of any language lapse. We call for a direct communication and engagement between the FIA president and WoRDA members to find a mutually agreeable and urgent solution. Sportingly, the rally drivers and co-drivers members of WoRDA. Seriously, who wrote that bit? They had a thesaurus out. They're tripping up everyone. And you can tell somebody wrote that and they went, right, this needs to sound clever. Someone get the thesaurus. We can't swear. Find another word.
Wrote it in a rage and then had to go and run it through. Through Google.
How many times can we use the F word, the C word, and everything describing the president? No, we can't do that. It's ridiculous. So I must admit, fantastically written, but my God, I read that twice before we went on air, and I read that when it first came out. I still tripped over it. I don't know how Mohammed Ben Sulayem's even going there. He's probably still there scratching his head, trying to write and find up the words the same as we are. Okay, Matt, starting with you. What's your reaction to this letter? It was very strong.
Very strong. Some, good and solid points made, as I kind of explained in my previous answer. Let's not forget in all of this, before Mohammed Ben Sulayem is who we know him to be now, he was a rally driver. So in the Middle East and Championship and such like, and a good one too. He was champion a fair few times without Wikipedia-ing. I'm not sure how many, but he was a good level. So he knows the sport. You would think he knows the emotions of the drivers and the co-drivers, and now, especially in the last few years, since we've had WRC Plus NE Rally TV, as it's now called, over the last couple of years, the cameras are on them fairly much all the time. They obviously, the cameras in the car in the stages, post-stage interviews, the mix zone back at service, more in interviews in the afternoon after the end of the days. They sometimes, depending on the itinerary of the days, they're getting up at 4 in the morning to go down to have, and the crew's the same, service the car pre-day. It's park firm at the end of the day, so a lot of the time, and then the service is done in the morning before they then go out onto the road sections at silly o'clock in the morning to get to the first stage, which could be 100 kilometers down the road to get to. let's say on a standard WRC day, that's 6 stages with a service, sometimes not even a proper one, a remote service in the middle where they've got to get involved and change tyres and fix any damages they've got. 3 stages in the afternoon, and then again more media duties, debriefing with the team. It's a very, very long day for the crews. Not like a Formula One driver. I know they've got a lot of media duties and stuff to do, but let's say on a Friday of a Grand Prix, it's 2 90-minute sessions or an hour, whatever we are now, I lose track, of driving time, and then their day is done. The WRC crews are on the road a lot of the time. Are we going to see now Thierry Neuville drop the gun on himself while changing a tyre and swear and now be fined? You know, I'm being silly, but you know, this could happen. Adrien Fourmaux was fined 10,000 for his sweary moment in Sweden last week, 10,000 euros. Contrast that to Luis Rubiales, who of course was kissed the Spanish soccer player after their World Cup win, however many long ago that's dragged out so long I lose track. He's been fined 10,000 for the kiss that was seen around the world. He's been given the same amount of monetary fine, which he's going to appeal, as Adrien Fourmaux for saying F on television. What are we doing? What seriously, what are we doing?
Yes, Matt, it's just silly, isn't it? That we even have to waste time talking about this on the
Agreed.
air. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that this is what we're discussing, and instead of discussing what rallying is supposed to be, as I said perfectly in that letter, rallying is extreme, and what makes the World Rally Championship one of the most unique racing series in the entire world, because what these rally drivers and co-drivers are doing, you know, it's some pretty gnarly, hairy stuff. And we should be talking about their talents and praising them for all of the risks that they take, because this is a very dangerous form of motor racing. But instead, we have to talk about the FIA imposing these stricter guidelines that really make no sense. Like I already said, they're making a non-existent issue an issue by trying to put the drivers on a box. And all the time I see race fans making these comments all the time about drivers not being able to show their personalities. And when you have guidelines like this, you may put those personalities further in the box, and then you're going to be wondering how come we don't have any personalities in World Rally Championship? How come we don't see any emotion from these guys? Why are they so robotic? Here's your answer. Because the drivers are afraid. Like if I say this, am I going to get fined? And if I become a second time offender, then I'm going to be set on the sideline for a month, which is probably going to, well, it will end up killing my championship hopes. And hopefully we would never get to a point where someone is getting a second or a third offense there. Once you get a third offense, you get to losing championship points, which is really silly in my opinion. And like I also said in the last question, I don't really see an issue, with drivers swearing consistently all the time for this to even be a problem. I think that this was a really well written letter from WoRDA here. I thought the point that's really important here is that when it says seconds after an extreme adrenaline spike, it's unrealistic to expect a perfect and systematic control over emotions. And as fans of sports, you want to see these athletes out there having those emotions. Someone wins the race, you want to see them celebrating and saying whatever. You don't want them to have a leveled down reaction like, yeah, I just won that race, it was great, and then you move on. You want to see them celebrate, and even if they do give off an F yeah and all that. And I know we've seen that before, and it's just an unfortunate situation that the drivers have been put in this box, and hopefully the FIA will listen. I'm not too confident about that at the moment, but it would really be nice if they could find some common ground on this issue.
Quickly before you come back in, Josh, I was watching as you know, many regular viewers to the program will know I'm very much far behind on watching stuff, and I was watching the highlights of last year's Central European Rally the other night with the wife sat on the sofa next to me. They interviewed Oyt Tanak at some point during the said highlights program after a stage, and in typical Oyt Tanak monosyllabic few words answer, whatever it was during that event, she said to me, well, that wasn't a very that wasn't a very good answer to the question. Or was it just a silly question? I said, so I then obviously brought it forward to now. And I said, well, you can't say too much because if he drops a sweary word, he'll be fined 10,000 €10,000. And the very much casual fan, the wife went, what? Oh, yeah. You're not allowed to speak anymore. More on that in a minute when we get to more things.
Yeah,
which you're going to roll into now.
yeah. And Josh, before you begin, I actually wanted to add another point. If you're watching the Grid Encore show on Monday night, you saw Tanner Smith, one of our newest members of Grid Network, make his debut on that program with Ben filling for Brandon Crossland. And during that show, our own Tanner Smith, he used a swear word during the broadcast, but he was reading the title of a documentary on Fox Sports. So if the FIA is watching, are you going to send Tanner a fine for that? Or if Tanner, I will just fine you here at Grid Network for using that swear word, you can send $25 to my Cash App, and I'll go and have me a nice meal tomorrow for dinner after work.
Do you know, you bring up a fantastic point, because I said in the chat, what could we get away with saying? I'm going to really enjoy Le Mans and wet coverage this weekend. Do you know why? A one bastard. It's his name.
It's his name.
What the hell do we do?
Are you going to get fine?
EB over there. Yeah, there he is. Good old EB, that's all we have to call him. Driver on the wall. I physically can't deal with this. I've had 2.5 hours sleep. I've been thinking of this all day. It's been driving me up the wall. It's just, right. I will support WoRDA 110%. Reading that letter. Thank you. Right. Are you ready for this? I feel like where's this? Where's Taylor when you need him? What are we doing? Well,
I was channeling my Taylor Twellman, Ben.
Where is Sylvester Stallone? That's what we need right now. Demolition Man, right now. Just rail it off. I didn't have a time to see that movie and go, yeah, that's it. Right, are you ready, everyone? It's time for a rant. You ready? Stretch out.
Stretching.
Stretch. Do the Murray Walker lunges. There you go. Right, you ready? Right. I've been looking forward to this because before we move on, a biggie. And when I say biggie, I mean this is possibly the biggest misstep the FIA president has done so far in his career. A step that very much could lead to him not being elected president in the upcoming elections later on this year. In terms of how much of a misstep this is the equivalent of the current battle between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Canada. This is big. Motorsport journalist Andrew Benson from BBC Sport came out with a troubling report today at the end of testing of day one about the FIA president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem. The link to this story is in the video description below, because earlier today, some key members of the FIA weren't allowed to attend a meeting of the organisation's World Motorsport Council. Robert Reid, the FIA president's deputy for sport, and David Richards is the United Kingdom's representative, were among those who weren't allowed to participate in the meeting because they reportedly refused to sign a non-disclosure agreement, or NDA. Now, according to BBC Sport, signing this particular document would mean that FIA members would be blocked from discussing FIA matters outside of official meetings. Now, this isn't nothing new. We've had NDAs before, and it's just in case anything gets brought up that they want to bring up in the future. In terms of official things that get released, they can talk about that. It's just a question of, do we add this in the future? Should we look into focusing on this? Like when Formula One brought in the sprint races, it was brought up at the World Motorsport meeting and discussed behind the scenes privately. NDAs are nothing new, but apparently Mohammed Ben Sulayem requested that everyone sign a new NDA, one that is stricter than the previous one, because he was getting concerned about leaks to the media. I wonder why. This is the latest controversy involving Sulayem, who previously faced backlash for making controversial comments on women, making changes to reduce accountability for wrongdoings by himself, creating a revolving door at the FIA, and enforcing very much stricter rules to police driver behaviour. Here's what an FIA spokesperson told the BBC when asked about the NDA as well. This is the FIA statement as well. As is routine in all organisations, including the BBC, the FIA implements procedures, including non-disclosure agreements to ensure confidential relationships between all parties, to safeguard personal information, and to protect our regulatory interests. Unauthorized disclosures of confidential information undermines our ability to fully fulfill our mission and adversely impacts our capabilities to generate revenues to support our member clubs in our shared objective of growing motorsport participation, increasing accessibility, and cultural innovation. The steps we have taken to preserve confidentiality has been overwhelmingly supported by a super majority of World Motorsport Council members. Don't shoot me, sir. I've read the line. It's okay. I've done as you asked. Unbelievable. We go back now to the two most notable officials who weren't allowed to participate in the World Motorsport Council meeting. Reid was an important member of Sulayem's presidential team, but he has reportedly fallen out of favour with Sulayem. Richards supported Sulayem when he was elected president of the FIA, but he voiced some concerns about changes made by Sulayem. Now, with Sulayem planning to run for re-election later this year, and no one launching a presidential bid to unseat him yet, the very last paragraph of this BBC Sport report is very concerning. Benson said that FIA insiders have speculated that Sulayem could make further rule changes that would make it difficult for anyone to run against him in this election. Well, before we get into that as well, we've also learned today that because these two members were not allowed to be part of the World Motorsport Council meeting, it is currently under suspicion that all things that have been announced today by the FIA, that's including the Monaco 2 stopper as well that's come in. ABB now will continue as the supplier for the Gen 4 engines of charging supplier in seasons 13 to 16. The new qualifying format for the Macau Grand Prix in the GT World Cup. Matt, to your point as well, the historic Rally European Championship with a new improved calendar. The FIA TCR World Ranking Final, new standalone touring car event approved. That now is all going to go up in the smoke as well. The DC2 and DC3 drifting vehicle specifications as well. The Asia Pacific Rally Championship calendar for this year as well. All of that could be deemed illegal because of this ruling to not allow two members in. Because, as is stated in the FIA rulebook, all members are and must be allowed a vote. They have not. So, Kobe, starting with you on this one, how alarming is this recent report? My God, this is worse than the Iron Curtain.
Well, before we get into that, Josh, let me make sure I have this straight. So he allegedly wants this new NDA to prevent leaks to the media, and we're talking about a leak from the media today. so that is what we're doing.
10 out of 10.
but in all seriousness, this is extremely alarming. I read that whole article multiple times, and the most important thing I took out of that was from that last paragraph that you just read, Josh, that FIA insiders are very concerned that Mohammed bin Sulayem is going to try to push through a new rule that's going to make it difficult for anyone to run against him. And when that happens, what do you call that? A dictatorship, right? And that's not what we want. I believe in democracy. I believe in free and fair elections, and I believe that the FIA presidential election should be free and fair. And if anyone wants to go run and try to unseat Mohammed bin Sulayem, they should have the right to do that. And we shouldn't even have to think about the possibility of him trying to exercise his power and all the yes men that he's put in place at the FIA to try to make this a possibility where he can just run unopposed and then he's going to stay in power. And then there's no telling what Mohammed bin Sulayem would do after that. This situation is just getting very serious, and I have no idea what's going to happen next. But it is very unsettling, this whole situation about the NDA to further silence people. And then we've already been talking about the revolving door over the last several months on this show. For over the last year, we're talking about someone else leaving the FIA, and I believe right around the holidays, Josh went on a rant about all of the people who have left the FIA within the last year. And I have a feeling that a lot more people are going to leave if Mohammed bin Sulayem tries to push through all of this other stuff as well. But all of this is very concerning, especially that last part about him potentially creating a rule where it would just be him running unopposed. Hopefully that isn't the case. Hopefully someone will have the courage to run against him, because I think it's fair to say that most people are not on the side of Mohammed bin Sulayem and they're ready to see him go, because this just can't last. Is not healthy at all, and more people are really beginning to dislike this guy. At first, it was everyone in the F1 paddock basically, and now you got the World Rally Championship drivers on it. Like, who's next? Are we going to see other drivers from other FIA sanctioned championships get on board against Mohammed bin Sulayem? I think I really think that people at this point would back Rocky from SpongeBob as FIA president over Mohammed bin Sulayem at this point, because it has gotten so bad. And given Mohammed bin Sulayem's behavior, I'm honestly afraid if someone were to run against him for the FIA presidency and Mohammed bin Sulayem were to lose his election, I'm actually concerned that he would not accept the election results. Yeah, so that's definitely one of the concerns on my mind.
Storm the FIA!
Well, to that point, has MBS invaded the FIA and then claimed that they got to him first? He's got the Senate. He wants to take the House.
He's too dangerous.
We're 31 minutes into this show. If this was a podcast, YouTube show, whatever, about the MLB, the NHL, the NFL, the ATP, PGA, golf, the FA, football in the UK, I take officialdom in terms of match officials out of the conversation. You don't hear squat from any of them. They get on with the job and they do it right. And all we do, it seems, on this show is talk about the FIA and the man at the top who has to be the headline. Because, okay, Max Mosley had his issues. Much talked about. We've mentioned it a few times on this show. But he got on with stuff. All the safety stuff in the 80s and the early 90s, especially Aaron Senna's death and stuff like. They got on with it and they got the job done. John Todd was MIA. He wanted his Nobel Peace Prize. I stand by that to the day I die. He wanted his Nobel Peace Prize for road safety. He didn't get it, but he wasn't really concerned about things happening on racetracks or rally stages, really. Interesting that the two people that were left out of said World Motorsport Council meeting in the Bahrain paddock today were British. Not before Christmas. Who did Mohammed bin Sulayem say was biased against him? The British media. Again, what are we doing? There's only one way this is going to end, and it's probably going to end. Well, I'll tell you what, the next 2 weeks are going to be interesting, aren't they, before we get to Melbourne for the Grand Prix? I've just got this feeling that we're going to be somewhere, I don't know, Japan. That's coming up first half of the season. Miami, Spain, maybe even Monaco, as you mentioned, Josh. We've had that pit stop thing being talked about today and ratified. We're going to have cars go to the grid and all of them come into the pit lane like Indianapolis, aren't we? It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because you know why? We are... I hope you can hear this. Oh, it's not played. That's what gone well. FIA cash and money. Where is this money going to? Who is paying for their Christmas do in Riyadh or Rwanda? All the drivers are paying for it. It's the way it's going, folks.
I just read something quite interesting about the presidential fund, because they've published, since we've been on air, they've published the report from today about they've published it online. Look, there he is. There he is, sitting behind his throne, the Iron Throne and all that. It says that when the members were told about the presidential fund, the Presidential Development Fund, World Motorsport Council members received an overview of the Presidential Development Fund that will provide members clubs with cooperative multi-year support as well for high-impact projects as well. Now, remember when he came in, the reason Mohammed bin Sulayem was elected was because you have basically every country gets a section of votes. The UK actually gets the least amount of votes. I think it's 9. And there's other places like Saudi Arabia, and they get like 25. Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and they're all linked in over there. They get 25 as a whole because there's more countries. The UK gets 9. Europe, I think, gets 13. So it's we're very much least on the list there. By excluding 2 of the members, you get rid of a majority of that 9% of votes. So it's very much now you only need a majority to get these rules passed. And the majority is coming from those who got him into power by submitting the dough, the $1 million to run. And that's coming from Saudi Arabia, Dubai, all those places who had him in that don't have a motorsport country, that are trying to whitewash, let's be honest, their country with sport. And it's going, yeah, sure, we'll back you. We'll throw the money in. They only did that on the promise that Mohammed bin Sulayem would share the cash and put the money back to them. It hasn't come up. Listen to what he's putting in. Affordable cross-car motorsport in a box, the sporting event. Esports and karting. No mention of the Middle East Asia Championships at all. Nothing. Nothing in karting in Asia that we were planning. Nothing on karting in Saudi Arabia that was promised. Nothing. Not a thing. Why are we surprised? He lies about everything. It feels like we're talking about Donald Trump, honestly. But this is what I was surprised. Would you like to know what the annual sum is for the president of the FIA, who is supposed to go round to every single motorsport event, but seems to be obsessed with Formula One, like a certain president of the past, Jean-Marie Bellest? Would you like to know how many in pounds he spends a year to travel to Formula One races and have all his little clubs?
Go on.
$750,000. That's in pounds, sorry. £750,000.
It's not a great deal of money, is it?
It's not a great deal of money, but would you like to know that that is only what he is diverting from his funds in order to put back in to karting and other sports? Would you like to know what the actual figure is?
Go on.
3.2 million. What are we doing? It's like Donald Trump today. He had those. He's just announced the gold cards, hasn't he, to buy citizenship? The Trump gold card has come out.
Oh,
It costs $5 million. Well, the other one that came out, the one that you could buy before, cost $1 million. The one that you could buy for a residency of the United States of America, that cost $1 million.
Question.
So he's got 4 million more. So what's he doing? What's my man? Has he gone to the corrupt president's FIA gala or something? I don't get it. Everything I'm seeing from this guy is just more and more lies, more and more corruption, more and more. He's backing himself into a corner and he's pushing motorsport to a breaking point, as you said earlier, Matt, about drivers walking away. Go on.
But there is going to be something, isn't there? We talked about this a few weeks ago, even before Christmas. It's bubbling, and something is going to happen. If it happens at a Grand Prix, or even what's going to happen at WEC on Friday for Qatar? What's going to get said, mentioned, the unsaid? Devon, hello to you, says the FIA president is the new Seb Blatter of motorsport. Yeah, perhaps to use a soccer analogy. Who, Josh, you'll probably remember because I can't. Who ran against MBS in the last? Because I remember it was Jean Todt beat Ari Vatanen. I remember that after Max Mosley stood down, but I don't remember who. I probably should have Googled and I can't be bothered. But who ran against him?
I think he ran
unopposed. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Hang on. I have got it written down because I've got a note back from that eventful night in 2021 when I said, oh, yeah, Jean Todt's gone, hasn't he? So who's he come through? 2 proposals. It was Graham Stoker. Who?
Yes.
Oh, hello. Do you know what his mandate was? FIA for all. Do you know what Mohammed bin Sulayem's mantra was?
Cash is king.
Close. FIA for members.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Now,
it's our boy.
Motorsport UK and the RAC.
David Richards is the president of Motorsport UK.
Yeah, they favoured Mohammed bin Sulayem, but quite a lot of the others had Graham Stoker. Graham Stoker's been around motorsport for years, isn't he?
Did they favour him though, or did Was there a
Yeah.
brown envelope, passed
No.
under a table somewhere in Paris?
He was the deputy head for sport, wasn't he? Under
Max?
Max
Or-
Mosley, in 2009. Remember, he was. In fact, it was Graham Stokely who was actually quite crucial in stopping that breakaway in Formula One. He got Braun signing the deal, and that
Yeah.
eventually tippled
Kept it all
Ferrari,
together.
tippled Williams. Yeah, he kept it all in. But he was in British politics, wasn't he, for a number of years?
Yeah.
If I'm not very much mistaken, because wasn't he involved in the Bernie Ecclestone $1 million? No matter how many times you try and get rid of it, it always comes back to you in 1997 to come through. Yeah, so he's a very experienced man. And I think they went for younger and they realised they had a dictator. So, that's really worked out the way we wanted it to. But how long have we talked about this now? 41 minutes. It's just on one man. We've done 41 minutes on one man who does anyone remember, or is it last year or the year before, when he said he was stepping away from Formula One?
Yeah.
Yes.
How long did that
F1
last?
was sorted, he was going to leave it alone.
I think it lasts like a day.
Mm.
You know what? I've got a message. Susie, if you're watching this and if the rumours are true, you have the support of every fan of motorsport in the entire world. Take him down, because I think if anybody is justice deserved, it's you who can do this to him after what he did last Christmas. You can do it. That's a direct message. I'd vote for her 1 million times over, and I think half the people would. Right, closing thoughts, chaps, on the man red line, because let's not forget George Russell swore today on Viaplay when the power went out. We'll get more to that later. Could that trigger it going to Australia? Because that's a swear. But is it an FIA event? Because it's pre-season testing, but it's run by FOM, but managed by the FIA. This is official.
Well, much like the launch last week was a FOM event, wasn't it? Although, yeah, exactly, very grey, a dusty grey, let's say, because it's in the desert. I don't know. I guess we'll find out tomorrow morning, or not.
I'm so excited.
More on George Russell later, but let's put this to bed for this week, and we'll probably you can absolutely 99.9 guarantee, Kobe, that you'll be writing some script stuff for us next week about this similar subject.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be talking about Mohammed bin Sulayem on future episodes of Grid Tonight.
I'm probably going to get a $10,000 fine now, by the way. Just saying that. I don't think I've said anything bad, but you know what he's like. You look at him funny and he strips you of your membership. Okay, moving on to the next story, which is one of my popular lines. Let's go to NASCAR. For once, I'm saying NASCAR seems to be a bit normal compared to the rest of the world. 2311 Racing has signed NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series regular Corey Heim as the team's first development driver. While continuing to compete full-time in the Truck Series with Tricon Garage, Heim will also remain a member of the Toyota Driver Development Program. Now, he'll drive the number 67 Toyota in select Cup Series races, with Budi Barker serving as his crew chief. Heim made a start with 2311 last year at Nashville. Now, the first Cup race on Heim's schedule this year will be the Kansas Spring Race in May. Heim said it's a dream come true to be a part of this team and is looking forward to continuing his development as he remains focused on becoming a full-time Cup driver in the future. The graphic courtesy of 2311 Racing. Matt, after having to return to the Truck Series for a third full season, is Heim finally on the path to moving up to the NASCAR ladder system? And, well, thanks to this new deal with 2311, it's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, they've just take 2311. They've expanded to the third car for Riley Herbst. The big new factory opened just before or after Christmas, can't remember, but it's open, airspeed. So all good things happening for Denny and Michael Jordan. And now they've got their first development driver in Corey Heim. So we've seen him in the Truck Series, as you said, the last couple of years, winning races, some of them at a canter. He's been very, very good. I did kind of expect him to go Xfinity maybe this year, but the Gibbs seats got shuffled around and filled up quite quickly. And obviously we saw Chandler Smith getting spat out of that once the music stopped. So not really many other places for him to go in a Toyota ride in Xfinity. So they kept him in trucks again. Probably the favourite, perhaps, for the championship. I don't know if Ben's still watching. He may have a slightly different view on it to me, but as a more avid Truck Series watcher. But good kid, going places, is fast. Just more experience if he can get up into those cup races he's got lined up later on and do. I'm trying to remember that Nashville race. I know it was a long time ago, and the race was very long with those 6 or 7 overtimes that we had. He didn't disgrace himself at all in that race. So, as I said, we talked a lot about a few of them. We're going to see one on the racetrack on Sunday at Kota in Connor Zilic. We've got a lot of fast young kids coming through the ladder system at the moment. That we've had the final end of the last wave, I guess, of guys over the last couple of years. Now with Truex retiring, that puts a stop on that era. Now we've got this era, and then we've got the next crop coming through, which is very exciting for the Cup Series. 5 or 6 years down the line, when all these kids are knocking on the door of the Cup teams.
Now, in addition to competing for the Truck Series Championship again and running multiple races in the Cup Series, Heim will also return to Sam Hunt Racing in the Xfinity Series. Now, just like in Cup, he'll run a part-time schedule in the number 24 Toyota, an entry list that will be supported by 2311. Now, Heim's first Xfinity race this year will be this weekend at Kota. Now, team owner Sam Hunt said the team has experienced some strong performances in past Xfinity races with Heim behind the wheel and looks forward to continue chasing the organization's first win while helping Heim develop into a driver racing on Sundays. Now, if Heim wants to go racing on Sundays full-time in 2026, some interesting things may need to happen at 2311. Tyler Reddick made the championship 4 last year, so it's hard to imagine him going anywhere. With Reddick taking the team to a new level, it meant more pressure on Bubba Wallace to perform this year, and 2025 has got off to a good start, entering Kota 5th in the points, with new crew chief Charles Danique as well, looking very good. Now, Riley Herbst joined the organisation as the team expanded to 3 full-time cars and brought funding, but team co-owner Danny Hamlin believes that Herbst is an underrated driver. Now, with the new charter agreement only allowing a maximum of 3 charters per organisation, do you think that 2311 would consider replacing one of their current drivers for Heim in 2026, or loan him out to another Toyota Cup team like Legacy Motorsport Club, or maybe full-time in Xfinity Series with Sam Hunt Racing? There's options.
There is options. It's been a really good start for 2311 through the first 2 weeks of the year, as you mentioned. Reddick and Wallace were pretty much in the top 10 throughout the whole race at Atlanta on Sunday. I can't see. I've talked about Alex Bowman being replaced in the 48 car for the last 3 years, and it hasn't happened yet. I think Darrell Wallace Jr. is the next one on that kind of ladder where it just doesn't. I don't think he'll be replaced. Do you know what I mean? Performance, unless he absolutely finishes 31st every single week and he's crashing the car all the time, he's not going anywhere. Same with Tyler Reddick. He's my pick for the championship this year is Tyler Reddick. So that's unlikely. Herbst bringing money obviously helps his ride with Monster in the 3rd car. So yeah, perhaps Heim can be floated as the Cup reserve for anyone, much like Justin Allgaier is for Chevrolet, and obviously mostly with Hendrick Motorsports, but could pop up elsewhere if drivers get injured. Maybe Heim could be that guy for a little bit and then find himself a full-time ride. But I think Legacy would be a good spot for him. Eric Jones has had a trying start to the season. John Hunter Nemechek's had a decent start, but you don't know where that team's going to end up falling in the pecking order. So perhaps Legacy would be the spot for him, but then he's not got many years perhaps left in him as a driver either, has he, at Gibbs? So there could be a spot opening up there. He's sort of the legacy driver of that sort of previous era that I was talking about before in the Gibbs team. So perhaps there could be a spot in the 11 team, perhaps opening up for Heim down the road.
I do apologise. I've got a frog in my throat. That's what comes after doing a 9-hour commentary today. Oh, dear me. Right. Only days before the 2025 MotoGP season opener in Thailand, defending world champion Jorge Martin has suffered another major setback. After breaking his right hand and left foot during preseason testing in Malaysia, Martin has fractured his left hand in a training accident before Thailand. Despite having surgery for his injuries suffered at Sepang, Martin was determined to compete this weekend in Thailand. But now he's been ruled out as he recovers from another surgery. Now, according to Aprilia, Martin's surgery was successful in Barcelona, Spain, with the implantation of 2 screws at the level of the radius fracture and 1 at the level of the left scaphoid as well for stabilization and to facilitate the healing process. Now, Aprilia also confirmed that Lorenzo Salvadori will replace Martin in Thailand, the photo courtesy there of MotoGP. Just come out and say it. Bike's rubbish, isn't it? And you regret leaving Ducati because you don't want to ride a year-old bike. Come on. I must admit, I wasn't the only one who laughed a little bit when he should have been at Ducati, hands down. But he ran away from using that year-old bike he's just won the title on, only for Ducati to turn around and go, do you know what? We're going to use next year's bike for the next 2 years. That sound good, chaps? Yeah. Martin must have been pulling his hair out with whatever hands he had left access to after Sepang. Like, what do you mean we're using the same bike? I just won the title on for the next 2 years. I could have stayed. I could have done that. I could have... If Jorge Martin had no... If he didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. Unbelievable. So, Kobe, starting with you. How devastating, utterly devastating has 2025 been for Jorge Martin so far before the season has actually even officially begun?
Josh, this movie actually sounds a little familiar to me. Hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but Jorge Martin's situation, suffering injuries like this, it's almost reminded me of what Marquez has been through in the last few years. Hopefully not to that extent, but yeah, it's been really unfortunate for Jorge to get injured, back to back like this. I remember when we talked about his injury here on this show just a few weeks ago in testing, and then he had the surgery. And I remember I said on that show that I believe that he should wait, until he's fully ready to go before trying to get back on the bike. And apparently he was trying hard to race in Thailand this weekend. And we don't really know many details about the training accident that happened, but being, just a few weeks removed from surgery, I know that other hand than his foot, probably not in tip-top shape to be riding a bike. Probably would be really foolish for him to even try it, even if he hadn't suffered the training accident, because it's not like you can get in a stock car or whatever, and try to baby it. This is a motorcycle, and if you're already recovering from a surgery of a serious injury like this, and you go off on that bike, have a high side or something, like, that's not going to be good at all. And to hear that he suffered another injury and had 2 surgeries and just this year, it's just the right word is devastating for him. We're looking forward to seeing what he could do with Aprilia this year after his departure from Ducati, but now that's going to have to wait. And it's already safe to say, we already knew this when he was switching on Aprilia, that that he probably was not going to defend his MotoGP World Championship, and he's definitely not now. But like Adam said here in the chat, Jorge Martin should recover 100% before returning to MotoGP, sending best wishes to him. And that was one of the gripes I had about Marquez. When he went through his list of injuries the last couple of years, it seemed like Mark always tried to rush himself back before he was truly ready. And then he just kept getting hurt, missing races, And I understand, that these athletes, that they love this, that this is their livelihood, this is their lives, this is what they love to go out and do. But at the same time, you really need to think about your health. And I think that making sure you go through the process of recovering from surgery is the best way moving forward. There was no way Jorge Martin should have even attempted to try to race this weekend in Thailand. And now he's going to have to miss even more time. And I really hope that he'll decide to listen to his body and really wait until he's truly ready to come back. Or it might be a situation like Marquez again, where Jorge Martin will try to come back too soon, and then he'll get injured and miss even more races. Just really hate to see this on the eve of the new season.
Yeah, it really just terrible. I mean, we don't even know how good he is on this bike, Jorge Martin, because he had 4 laps at Sepang before he crashed the first time and hurt himself, and now he's fallen off. I believe from what I heard today, it was a super motard bike in Andorra near his home at a go-kart track, and he high-sided. and flicked him off. He also damaged his other heel. He didn't need an operation, but he's broken his heel on the other foot. So there is also that to play around with. Also, Spanish media seem to think that he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, maybe. So that's going to rule him out for Argentina, which is the 16th of March, so 2 weeks away. And then they go straight from there. 2 weeks after that is Cota for the American round. So we might not see Jorge Martin until, he says, looking at the calendar, Jerez, which is the end of April, because that's the only round in April for MotoGP. So he's got a good chunk of time there to come back. But I agree with Adam. Stay at home, get fit, get well. You're not going to win the it was a very slim chance he was going to defend the championship anyway, because it's Ducati Cup again in MotoGP, or will be this season when we get underway. You
haven't seen Superbikes, have you?
I haven't, but I'll come to that in a minute. So stay at home, get fit, get well, come back, spend the year learning the bike, figuring out the issues. They've got Bezzecchi as his teammate. He's gone really well in testing, so that they've got positives there. Use Marco as the number one, even though Jorge's got the one on the front, and then come back for a real championship push in 26. But yeah, two current world champions in the two big motorcycle sports championships of the world, not riding Ducatis, complaining about having much bad luck and complaining about Ducatis. Top wasn't be after Superbike at Phillip Island at the weekend either, was he?
It's the circle of life. Or he needs to do a Casey Stoner and go to 4-wheel motorsports. He's done it too.
Oh, it's not near me. I have my Red Bull Casey Stoner supercar, but it's in the cupboard and I can't remember to get it. Didn't go particularly greatly well for Casey, and he gave up after a year of Super 2. That was all that was going to be. He was going to do the Wayne Gardner and go supercars, but after a year, he packed it in.
And if I'm not very mistaken, Casey's got a medical condition, doesn't he, as well?
Yes, that was what hampered most of the end of his Ducati era, wasn't it? And since then, now he's off riding. Did those pop-up stuff for TNT over the last couple of years, hasn't he? Done a few punditry jobs, but he's well.
Riding those Ducatis in the early 2010s was deadly. It was not the best place to be, was it? The amount of injuries, and it ended Rossi, it ended Lorenzo, it ended Casey. It was
hurt during that too.
It was not good. Okay, right. That brings us then to our regular scripted events. Now let's have a little bit of a recap about Formula One and the opening day of testing from Bahrain. Day one, this is Pirelli's information graphic. And to explain this to you as well, as they come in as well, it is going up as well. Oh, hang on. Megan's walked into the commentary box. Kobe.
Hi.
Oh.
Hey.
Uh-oh.
Are you going to read it?
It's a hand-delivered fine.
Is it from Mohammed bin Salia? This is live TV, folks.
It says $10,000 or else the Mike Shield gets it. No, not the ganja buns. Well, thank you, Megan. Tell him I will pay it. I will pay it when he gives us the 3.2 million back. Thank you, Megan.
Oh, dear.
I'm no longer Joshua Birch. I am renaming. I'm now William Flint. Nice to meet you. Middle name and mother's maiden name. They'll never find me. Right, going back to... hang on. Locking the door. Just locking the door. It's a lock-in. Right, let's go back to testing, shall we? Before they, bulldoze me down. So, this is how it works out for the Pirelli tyres. Now, each team have 35 different sets of tyres, and they can range however many they like. Now, with this being Bahrain, naturally, they've elected most of the teams to stick to the 6 range of slick tyres. However, a couple of teams, Aston Martin, Haas, and the new Racing Bulls, have elected to go for some intermediate running with the weather forecast tomorrow looking like it's going to be wet. So how to identify the tyres? C1 is just the Pirelli with no banding. C2 has the white banding. C3 is just the Pirelli logo. C4 has the banding. C5 doesn't have the bracket banding, it's just the logo. And this tyre, this is new, the C6 tyre. You never see this tyre, but it will become available this year. It is a new tyre designed for tracks such as Monaco, Canada, as well, the sort of slow but fast street tracks. So watch out for the C6 to come into alliteration this year. It's going to be quite fun. Now, in terms of times, what we've done here with Pirelli's graphic, and thank you very much for them for emailing this out. I think they've also published it on their socials now. This is the best times and their driver tyre compound. This is very important to show because we had a very mixed day with an extra hour being added on due to a power cut at the circuit with the lights going out about half an hour before we went into darkness. So it's important to note that these were done at two very different times of the day. So Norris was fastest. He went out in the afternoon session. He did his time on the C3 at 1:30.4. So ignore the time. Focus on the tyre and the lap counter. Now, the lap counter, McLaren doing 52 laps with Norris, and then look further down for on the second page where Piastri was, they did a further 66 laps. So good, strong day for McLaren there. Mercedes and Russell, they did 70 laps for him in the afternoon session before he was caught swearing. Compare that to Antonelli, who did 78 laps as well. Fantastic for Mercedes and their reliability here as well to do 148 laps. Now, move over to Max Verstappen. He was out in the afternoon session. And that Red Bull car struggling a bit. Had a spin for Liam Lawson in the morning session. Nearly binned it in the gravel. Verstappen was struggling as well and complaining. Surprise, surprise. He did 74 laps, whereas Lawson 58. Charles Leclerc for Ferrari in the afternoon session. He did 71 laps. Lewis Hamilton went out in the morning. He did 70 laps. Really strong day, completing 141 for them. Carlos Sainz went out in the afternoon session for his first run in Williams. He did 68 laps. The second Williams of Alexander Albon, 63 laps. Moving further down, Alpine with Pierre Gasly in the afternoon session did 72 laps. Compare that over to Jack Doohan, who we talked a lot about. He did also 68 laps across. But Doohan, Ollie Oakes, the team principal at Alpine, saying that the media basically made it up, that he's only got 5 races to prove himself. Well, as Ted Kravitz said, the media didn't make up signing a certain Franco Colapinto, taking selfies with that of, the world's worst hangover patient of Flavio Briatore. So interesting to see what Doohan's going to make of that when he gets into it. Now, moving down as well, where are we up to? Racing Bull, Sonoda, he did 78 laps. Compare that as well to Hadjar, he did 76. Bortoletto in his debut for Sauber, he did 59 laps. His teammate Hulkenberg doing 55. Haas, though, bottom of the timesheets. Don't worry about that much. They did 88 laps and 72 laps. They were very much focusing on reliability with this car. They've stuck with last year's Ferrari's suspension, but they've upgraded the aero. So Haas looking very much stronger, and they want to go on a high in this regulation. Aston Martin, though, I want to highlight because they were strong in long runs. 46 and 42 laps compared for Alonso and Stroll. Very good signs from there that they've turned a corner, and they could be the 5th fastest team outside of the top 4 as well. So that's how it looks on day one. Focus on the times in terms of the compound of tyre and the laps completed, and then we'll throw it all together and we'll try in the pre-show for Saturday's NASCAR race. We'll try and bring you an update of what we think all of the teams will be in the running order this year. So there you go. That's the latest from Bahrain. I've got to go find $10,000. So I'm going to go start an OnlyFans. And while I do that, Kobe, it's over to you for the latest from everything else that's happened in the motorsport world.
Too much information there at the end, Josh. But next, some more motorsports news from around the world. After serving as deputy team principal, Aaron McLaren is promoting Tony Kanaan to team principal ahead of the N2T IndyCar Series season opener this weekend on the streets of St. Pete. Kanaan will replace Gavin Ward, who parted ways with the team at the end of last season. The team believes that Kanaan's deep expertise and strong leadership make him a natural fit for a position that will see him oversee team and driver development, including key commercial relationships, Kanaan said he's embraced every opportunity to grow with the team since his last Indianapolis 500 as a driver, and he's excited to step into the team principal role. In addition, Kevin Timjohn will join Arrow McLaren as team president to lead business operations, finance, commercial strategy, and administration. Photo taken by James Black from Penske Entertainment. When the NASCAR Cup Series goes to Homestead Miami Speedway on March 23rd, Alex Bowman's number 48 Chevrolet will have a special paint scheme. Hendrick Motorsports and Ally are teaming up with the new Women's Unrivaled Basketball League, a league designed to give female basketball players an opportunity to make extra money during the WNBA offseason and stay home on American soil instead of having to go overseas. Artist Sophia Chang designed the paint scheme you see on your screen, which shows Miami's downtown skyline, a female basketball player dribbling, some encouraging words and symbols, including the Unrivaled League logo on the door of Bowman's car. When this paint scheme was unveiled at Homestead, WNBA stars Breanna Stewart, Dejanay Carrington, and Marina Mabry were in attendance. The race at Homestead will take place 1 week after the Unrivaled League finishes its inaugural season of 3-on-3 basketball, which is happening in Miami, Florida. Stewart praised the Unrivaled League's founding partner Ally for investing equally in men's and women's sports, and thinks having an Unrivaled themed race car is something incredible that brings all the worlds together. Photo courtesy of Hendrick Motorsports. Just a couple of months ago, on December 10, 2024, Penske Entertainment announced that Richard Buck would take over as the new Indy Next race director. Buck brought 25 years of experience working in the motorsports industry, which included operations and project management, competition, officiating, engineering, and race strategy in both IndyCar and NASCAR. Back in December, Buck said he was thrilled to return to his roots in IndyCar and felt this opportunity to get back in was something they couldn't pass up. Now, flash forward to this week. According to Marshall Report from Racer.com, Penske Entertainment have parted ways with Buck as race director before he could even work a single Indy Next race, only days before the season opener at St. Pete. I guess you could say he got bucked. Pruitt also reported that the Indy Next team owners felt that broadening disconnect with Buck, which forced the series to drop him as the race director in the final hours of the offseason. Now you're going to see new IndyCar president Doug Bowles and IndyCar vice president of event and track operation Jason Penix. They're going to help out with race control during this transition period until they're able to find someone to become the official Indy Next race director. Link to this article in the video description below, and photo courtesy of Penske Entertainment. For the first time since losing his IndyCar seat with Chip Ganassi Racing, Linus Lundqvist has finally broken his long silence over the offseason. In this statement posted by Lundqvist across his social media channels, he confirmed that he'll be attending the NTT IndyCar Series season opener this weekend in St. Pete, but he wishes that were under different circumstances since he won't be racing. He said that his contract with Ganassi and the American Legion was a multi-year agreement, but he was notified just in January last month that his contract was being terminated. Unfortunately, with IndyCar introducing the charter system and each organization being allowed a maximum of 3 charters, Ganassi obviously wasn't going to let Scott Dixon or Alex Palou walk. Marcus Armstrong was sent to Meyer Shank Racing with Ganassi support, and Kiffin Simpson brought significant funding to Chip Ganassi Racing. Therefore, Lundqvist was the odd man out. Despite winning Rookie of the Year, he got his first career pole at Road America, and then he got a pair of podiums at Barber Motorsports Park and on the short oval at Gateway. Lundqvist wishes his former team well moving forward, and he's hoping to reach a resolution that would place him back into a competitive seat. But for the time being, he's continuing to pursue other racing options, but hopes to return to IndyCar and continue his open wheel racing career here in America. Graphic courtesy of Lundqvist. And last but not least, apologies for this graphic not being as clear. That's the best I could do. Earlier today, MotoGP and Fox Sports announced a new multi-year deal to broadcast all sprint and Grand Prix races in the United States. The majority of MotoGP races will air on FS1 or FS2, with the America's Grand Prix and Qatar Grand Prix airing on Fox Business Network. Select races will air on Fox Deportes. However, all races will be available on the Fox Sports app. MotoGP's Chief Commercial Officer Dan Rosimondo said they're happy to see MotoGP join the incredible lineup on Fox Sports and wants to see it on the biggest stage possible in markets with untapped potential. Here on the East Coast, you can watch the sprint race in Thailand early Friday morning at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, then the Thailand Grand Prix at 2:30 a.m. Eastern early Saturday morning, both races on FS1, graphic courtesy of Fox Sports. And speaking of MotoGP, it's time to throw the map for our pick a winner for this weekend's first sprint race of the year.
Certainly is. Thailand Grand Prix, as you mentioned, Kobe, this weekend at Buriram. For pick a winner, and you can get involved using the hashtag pick a winner on social media this weekend. And see if you can catch me, because I'm now 2 points clear. Thank you, Mr. Cameron Walters, for getting me 2 points at the weekend. Tanner is into second. We've got, what's that, 4 people on 3 points. So what have we got this weekend? 2 MotoGP points up for grabs, an IndyCar point and an NASCAR point. So if you can get all of them, you can go straight to second place on the leaderboard as it stands right now, using the hashtag pick a winner. So it's MotoGP sprint race then Saturday at Buriram. Apparently it's going to be 40 degrees, I heard today, which is muggy. There's only one answer to the question. It's Marc Marquez. Kirby?
Usually I would just say Jorge Martin, but unfortunately he's unavailable this weekend. So I'll say Marc Marquez as well. Who you got, Josh?
He robbed me. You can't tell, can you?
Oh no!
It's all about the size. Now, honestly, I've sat through 48 hours of testing. It's Marc Marquez, 100%. I said it last year. I said this year. He is about to show us why he is undisputedly one of the greatest of all times. He is going to win easily. And it's Ducati world, and we're just living in it.
Yeah, all about Ducati at the moment in both MotoGP and World Superbike, as I mentioned earlier. Adam is going with us as well, and he's also gone early with the Grand Prix on Sunday. So, 2 pick a winners for MotoGP, just to remind you. Sprint race Saturday, Grand Prix Sunday. IndyCar at St. Petersburg as well on Sunday, and on Fox, don't forget, first IndyCar race on Fox, very excited for that. And NASCAR at Circuit of the Americas as well. Use the hashtag pick a winner across all of the Grid Network TV social medias, and you could get your name on the board for us next week. Long show. Thank you for sticking with us if you have done. Let's finish it off with some hots and indeed nots. I have a hot, which is also... He's gone. He's done. Josh had a livery change in the commentary box. I have a hot, which is also a not, quickly, before we do actual hots and now also not, which is what Kobe mentioned in the news. Great news. MotoGP is on Fox.
Yeah, fantastic.
Bad news. Bad news. It got announced 3 days before the race to open the season. That's
not great,
not right.
It feels like they've had a massive forget, and I've gone, oh yeah, we forgot to announce that, haven't we? Yeah.
or someone hadn't sent the email or whatever.
Yeah. Is it me, or is Fox becoming the place to be for motorsport in America? Because they're going after Formula One as well. It's weird. Also, ESPN. This is my not. So no, I'll wait. We were talking about TV.
You go in the flow. Go for it.
It's about TV deals. ESPN. Are you mental? You've got the hottest sport on the planet that has brought in so many new viewers in America, and you go, "No, we're not interested in renewing it. We don't want it anymore."
You know why? Because they were giving it for free.
Yeah, and now they have to pay for it, I presume.
Yeah.
But you pay. You have Formula One on your channel. You pay for anything. You'd let Mohammed Ben Sulayem come in and tell you how to run your life. You pay. You would pay. You let Danica Patrick in the commentary box. You pay. We have to suffer that as well. But still. Oh, I got told how many races. I got told how many races she's doing. I'm not allowed. It's embargoed at the moment. I can't say. But I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Genuinely.
I don't. Let's go back to hots then quickly before we go with not, because I've just been reminded of some while Kobe was doing the news. Cup race Sunday, excellent for 99.9% of it, much like last week. Just a shame that they didn't get back to the flag there, but I think that one was more legitimate than last week's non-call, if that makes sense.
This time with a bigger impact.
Yeah. Interesting to see if it happens again this week. In whatever version of that may happen. And just hot that it's a big weekend of motorsport. WEC, of course, on Friday. It's on Friday. Don't forget, it's on Friday.
I can't cover it. I thought, oh great, we get to
Because
cover
you're doing
WEC this
testing.
year. Yeah, I was like, oh great. So IMSA Radio or Radio Le Mans taking it. I was like, oh great, I don't get to see it. It's really annoying.
so-
You decided to Friday.
I think it. I'm not sure. If there
Well, we
was,
can see
it
why,
was-
can't we?
Because last year it was Saturday, I seem to remember.
Yeah, I can see why,
think.
because the Arabian weekend is Friday, Saturday,
Saturday. Yeah.
and WEC at the moment seems to be doing races on a Saturday. So I can see why, but
It's only Spa is the other one. Otherwise, there's Sunday. But yes, I know what you're saying.
but just
So
go.
yeah, but WEC, IndyCar, as I mentioned in Pick a Winner, NASCAR again, exactly the Americas with Xfinity on Saturday, of course, MotoGP. IndyCar on Fox is going to be
I'm looking forward
an
to it.
interesting watch, let's say.
Yes. Oh, do you know,
so-
by the way, that IndyCar is called IndyCar because it was based in Indianapolis? I've been wearing my Will Buxton jumper. Do you like it?
If you talk to F1 drivers about IndyCar, they say they're scared of going to IndyCar, which makes IndyCar really good. That was a quote I saw, or vaguely from Will somewhere on the internet this week. No, that's not why, but okay.
Credit to
I don't
where
think
credit's due. Will's done his notes.
Let's see how they go at the weekend with T-Bell and Hinch in the booth.
Oh.
And Indy next, of course. And also another hot St. Petersburg related hot coming up this week is the Mazda MX-5 Cup is back on the streets of St. Petersburg. That will be box office.
I'm looking forward to that so much because it was carnage. What I don't like is that we still don't know who the pit road are, and we still don't know who's hosting overall round. And it's like, well, Jamie Little's been doing stuff for IndyCar's coverage, but she'll be at COTA, or is she missing COTA? And it's like, but she can't miss COTA because she's. Yeah, so she could miss COTA because she's not doing trucks. There's no ARCA, so is she doing that? I don't know, but I would rather have had Kevin Lee be confirmed. Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm back in pit lane.
He's in the pit lane. Kevin Lee's in the pit lane for Fox. That was announced yesterday.
Yeah,
with Georgia Henneberry. They're the pit lane reporters.
Georgia's back. I thought she just had a baby.
Yeah. I'm pretty certain that's what I saw. Don't verbatim me on that one, but I'm pretty certain that's what I saw about this time yesterday. I don't think I've got any more hots unless you have.
Alex Rodriguez is going to be doing the fastest seat in sport.
He's in the two-seater.
That is an interesting pick.
Well, you know how big baseball is on Fox, so for them to get one of the big names in is good. Adam says hot Sydney race 2 of the weekend. Cam Waters, Brock Feeney by a bumper, not even.
I want World Superbikes. Nicola Bulago. What? Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Top rack.
Well, he led every lap but 3, I think, wasn't it, of the whole weekend?
And that was because of the pit stops. Yeah. The only 3 laps he didn't lead was because of having to do the pit stops. So, and that was across the race 1 and race 2. So that was good. I did not enjoy Top Rack's overreaction. Yeah. Not needed.
He's actually closer to the championship lead now than he was after the same round last year, and he went on to win the championship. So just call your jets.
And it was his own mistake because in warm up he went short on 4, and then in the Super Bowl race he went straight on, and
then he broke down in race 2.
And he punched his
screen.
Yeah, that was bizarre, daft. But yeah, I'm sort of I liked it. I thought I'd be deer in headlights, but straight in. It's fine. Not at all problem. They've all been in MotoGP anyway. And Top Rack's going to MotoGP, apparently.
At some stage.
The one thing I just
by KTM.
Yeah. That's coming soon.
Perhaps. It's a rumour that he's doing the mill.
Rumours, I've heard. Bye-bye Alpine. End of this year. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Bye-bye Alpine.
Are they going back to Renault or...
No, I don't know what they're going because they can't call it Renault because of from what I know, is that they want to remove the Alpine and Renault name and sort of take it to a customer brand team. And this is where Flavio comes in. What's the betting? It's going to be something like when he was in Benetton. Because you can't call it Benetton. But, like when he ran Benetton. That. Because it's all starting to make sense. He's got his team back. But yeah.
So we'll have Colapinto and Canapino in the team there. The two Argentines. Devon says Hot Superbike pits. The Hot was the World Superbike pit stops. And
they were good. They're both good. Yeah, the pit stops were all right, actually. I thought they would be a lot worse than what we had. Great weekend for the Brits. And MotoGP, really strong as well. So, yeah. I have to notice the time. I'm going to be up to
What good for? Oh yeah, let's wrap this up quickly. Then good weekend for the Brits, including World Supersport, because Tom Booth Amos got a win in the second World Supersport.
Great.
So and he got second in the first one.
I tell you what, though, Lizzie Whitmore, I think is definitely a hot because she's been testing and she's got her confidence back as well. She had a great weekend at Alton Park testing, and then didn't go well at Cadwell. She's got to repair the bike because something on the handlebars break. It wasn't right. But yeah, she's going well, and I'm looking forward to her being in the commentary box this year for Superbike. She'll have to stop by once or twice and do us all do a commentary.
I will try my best.
Yeah, you're behind a lot.
Two quick knots off the back of Kobe's news, actually. One was the race director for Indy Next not directing a race and already being sacked in the week of the race, which is
we've heard that before.
Excellent timing. And the second one, which I had to smile and shake my head at as he was reading it, was the Alex Bowman livery news. Yeah. Let me just find it here again. It's going to be shown on the car the week after the last round of matches. Surely you do that at the start of said season to not have it at the end. I don't.
Do they not understand how it works?
Can they promote before, not? Okay, whatever. Just seemed like a strange decision to me. Oh, and again, hot. It's Mazda MX-5 at St. Petersburg.
Yeah, big hot. Let's end on a big hot coming in. Oh, okay. I've just okay. I'll tell you one thing. This is getting very, very interesting. The amount of information I've. Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. I love F1 testing season because you get so much gossip from day one. It's unbelievable. My paddock spies have been on the march, and I'll have news to bring you next week about it. We're going into because we've got to wait for it to be confirmed, and it is to do with Franco Colapinto. So stay tuned. We have confirmation. Right.
Also quick note, very, very quick note before we go. Why didn't they send Lewis Hamilton out first and get him to the top of the timesheets on the first day of testing to set the fastest time? Bad Ferrari.
Yes, very bad Ferrari. They could have
just got it out of the way.
131.834. So very bad time.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, at 13th, and he's got. Oh, who's out tomorrow? Well, it's going to be pointless tomorrow because it's going to rain. So, don't tune in. Don't tune in to Sky's free YouTube coverage.
What you should be tuning in for.
We've got Jake Sanson coming on, and we've got all the team. We've got good stuff, and we've got good filler. We've got Jenny Gow on a record. We're good. We're good. We've got Ollie Behrman with David Croft. We're fine. Welcome to us. Yeah. Anyway, taking a look at Grid Network and our upcoming schedule here. Thursday night, of course, we've got the Grid Roundtable. It returns finally 8 p.m. Eastern to preview the 2025 Entity IndyCar season. That is tomorrow night. Sunday, we've got our Grid Live wrap-up. That's 90 minutes after the NASCAR Cup Series race at the Circuit of the Americas. Monday, we've got Grid Encore at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's recapping the Xfinity race at COTA as well. Please do continue to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for helping us reach the milestone of 1,500 subscribers. Now we're inching closer to our next one of 2,000 subscribers. You can hit the bell icon to get notifications so you'll always know when we go on the air, and you can follow all of our social media platforms and visit our website gridnetworktv.com. You can take 5 minutes to invest in the Grid Network through Patreon. You can join Colin, Mark, Michelle, Robin, David, and Matthew, who invest each month in the Grid Network. And we encourage you to join these fine folks to help us keep us on the air. And once we hit $500 per month, we can afford to send our team to the track more often and continue growing our media outlet. The link to all of that is in the video description as well. And if you want to make a one-time donation, you can click on the Buy Me a Coffee link. You can get your name on the board and you can invest as much as you want and consider buying a specific on-air personality a cup of coffee, and they will thank you on the air as well. Please really do consider subscribing because we need to pay these fines somehow. For Kobe Lambeth and Matt White from Grid Endurance Performance Index, I'm Joshua Birch from JB Motorsports. Thank you for watching a mammoth show about one man rambling about another man. But still, we'll see you next time. Good night.